Indiana football demolishes Purdue on the road. They cap off the greatest regular season in program history, and we are heading to the Big Ten championship game. This is Locked On Hoosiers.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. It is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here and making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Thank you so much for being here on this live edition of Locked On Hoosiers on the YouTube channel, or if you're listening back to it later on your audio podcasting platforms, thank you so much for being there as well. Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving, getting ready for a big weekend of college football. It's been a big day of college football, and the Indiana Hoosiers just capped it off with an absolute beatdown of Purdue, 56-3 on the road in the cold to secure the greatest regular season in the history of Indiana football. We're going to talk about that here on this late live show tonight, so thank you so much for being with us. Hopefully you're willing to stay up a couple of more minutes as we talk about this really fun and kind of a cruising game, right? As Indiana takes down Purdue 56-3. We'll talk about why this is the greatest regular season for Indiana football. You're undefeated and you are heading to the Big Ten championship game. Plus, you know how it is. We'll do likes and dislikes on the back end of tonight's show as well. Drop your thoughts in the YouTube comments. We'll get to those as we go and address those the best that we can. Indiana football rolls over Purdue 56-3, and man, by the end of this thing, it was a Hoosier party in West Lafayette. That stadium had a ton of red in it anyway, but my goodness, by the time the third quarter and fourth quarters rolled around, every single Purdue fan headed for the exits, and Indiana took over that place. And you should when you win 56-3. And we'll talk about all the different trends and things and how Indiana looked, the good, the bad, right? Likes and dislikes and things like that. But folks, at the end of the day, you did what you were supposed to do. You were such the better team here, and it showed in pretty much every facet of the game, at every position, in every play, and every single thing that happened. Indiana was the better football team. And you could see, sadly for them, why Purdue was unable to win a Big Ten game this year. You could just tell. You could see it in their talent. You could see it in their decision-making. You could see it in their play calling. They just don't have the dudes. And I don't know if they'll ever get the dudes, somebody like what we've done or what Ohio State's doing, or get anywhere close to that. Clearly, all it takes is a coach to do it, right? But you could just see the difference in what Indiana has in Bloomington and what Purdue has, or lack thereof, in West Lafayette. Because the Indiana Hoosiers, we absolutely just wrung them. I mean, in every single phase of this game, it wasn't even close. All right, it wasn't even close. And Indiana did what they had to do. Was it the prettiest in terms of every single aspect of the game where you came in and dominated every single thing and looked like the best team in America? No, not at all. Not all times, but I think you do what you needed to do, right? How about winning a game 56-3 where you only complete 10 passes as a team? That's pretty impressive, with 2 of those coming from your backup. How about winning a game 56-3 in what was the coldest game in the history of this rivalry on a Friday night, coming off the bye week a day early? I think that's pretty good. And how about winning a game 56-3, not overlooking a bad opponent and putting yourself in the Big Ten championship game for the first time in program history? Sounds good to me. I don't care that Fernando Mendoza was only 8 of 15 for 117 yards. Still had 2 touchdowns tonight. He also looked pretty good in terms of running the ball when he had to. Had a rushing score in there as well. Your receivers played pretty good. Omar Cooper had the receiving touchdown. Elijah Surratt had the receiving touchdown. You had the really nice one from Chandler there at the end. 1 catch in his career, and it's a 65-yard touchdown catch. Pretty good, if you ask me. But we know what dominated this game. It was the ground game for Indiana. It was the rushing attack that Indiana decided, you know what? We're just going to man up and run it at you. You can't handle this. You can't handle our offensive line. You can't handle the dynamic duo of Roman Hemby and Kaelon Black. You can't stop it. And Purdue couldn't. Indiana said, stop it if you can, and Purdue laid down and died. Okay? Indiana rushing stats tonight. This is unbelievable. 37 rushes as a team, 355 yards on the ground, on the road, in the cold, in your conference play against your biggest rival. 37 runs, 355 yards, and 5 total touchdowns on the ground. Folks, that is dominance. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care if you're playing East Carolina. I don't care if you're playing Purdue. I don't care if it's Ohio State. I don't care if it's the JV team from some high school out of state. 355 yards in 4 quarters of play is just pure domination. And Indiana decided that's how they were going to win this football game. And I like it, especially with the way that Fernando Mendoza in the passing game started out in this game. Very dangerous. Right? Very, very dangerous from Fernando Mendoza, who had, by my count, 3 near interceptions early in this game, in the first quarter, first half, right? And so I think Mike Shanahan and Curt Cignetti said, all right, look, we're coming off the bye. It's cold. We don't need to do anything fancy here. Let's just line up and run the football. And they did it. And they did it again and again and again. Folks, this number's a little skewed because of the 82-yard run. But do you realize Roman Hemby averaged almost 13 yards a carry tonight for Indiana offensively? That's pretty darn good. Do you know that Kaelon Black, on his 13 carries, still was averaging 5 yards a pop when he stepped in the football game? Heck, Kobe Martin had 8 carries and was averaging 6.5 yards per pop every time he touched the football. Indiana decided they were going to win this game one way and one way only, and it was clean. It was pretty much effortless, and you put up 56 points on the road to where you blow out your opponent again. You blow out your rival again, who you've now outscored 122-3 in the last 2 seasons. That's pretty darn good, if you ask me. And then there's the defensive side of the football. And what should we say about the Indiana defense that already hasn't been said, right? You don't really get to the quarterback all that much tonight. You have just the 1 sack from Stephen Daly, who, my goodness, had an incredible game. Hardy ended up with 10 tackles. Fisher and Boykin both had 7. Daly had 6, most of those coming in the first half. Farrell had 4. Kamara had 4. Jamari Sharp had 4. Everybody got involved here. A lot of TFLs in there. That's where Stephen Daly made his impact. 4.5 TFLs tonight for Stephen Daly, number 8 on the Indiana defense. I mean, that's what Indiana does. You had the 1 takeaway, right? Farrell came up and got the pick, but you just outmanned them in this game and showed why the Indiana defense, I think, is the best in college football. And the offense showed you can win a game without your Heisman candidate quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. So all things considered, you win the game 56-3. You cap off the greatest regular season in program history, and now you are guaranteed to represent in the Big Ten championship game. And that's where I'm going to go now because, folks, this is historic. And I want people to recognize what we just watched, not just tonight, but this season as a whole. All right, this is a season where you started with Old Dominion 27-14. It looked okay, but not great. You took care of Kennesaw State and did what you had to do, and you beat Indiana State on a Friday night 0-0, okay? You then welcomed in Illinois as a top 10 team, one of the biggest games in Memorial Stadium history, and you just wipe them off the face of the earth, 63-10 on the national stage where everybody saw it, right? It was a magical night inside of Memorial Stadium. Heck, the picture behind me you see, that's that game. That's the Indiana-Illinois game. That's how important that was. That's how awesome that game was. You move into the road game against Iowa, where that was probably your worst performance of the year, and yet you still won it. And you sneaked out of Iowa City with a win, and you stay undefeated. You then go on the road to Oregon, to the third-ranked team in the country at the time, and you play one of your best games of the year. And you walk out with a 10-point win, and you are still undefeated. You then head into the easy backstretch of your schedule with Michigan State, UCLA, and Maryland. You hammer all those teams. It was sketchy against Penn State on the road, even after they fired James Franklin, and you just didn't know what you were walking into, but you handled that game. You looked fine against Wisconsin, and you looked pretty darn good tonight against Purdue. I hope you've enjoyed the ride so far, Hoosier fans, because this is historic. There has not been a team in the history of the Indiana football program that has done what this team is doing. You are 12-0, undefeated in the regular season, and you're preparing now for the Big Ten championship game for the first time ever. This is exciting stuff, man. This is what we live for. This is what the peak of being a fan is, right? And there's lots more to play for. We're going to talk about that. But enjoy this moment right now. Enjoy embarrassing your rival in their home stadium. Enjoy taking over their stadium. Enjoy beating the big dogs and the juggernauts of this conference like Oregon and Penn State. And now you're going to have a chance maybe against Ohio State. We'll talk about that, the situations in a moment. Enjoy where this is. Enjoy not being caught up in this coaching carousel that's going on right now in college football because Curt Cignetti's not going anywhere. Enjoy having senior after senior after senior on both sides of the football who continue to step up and deliver in big moments and show why this team is a big-time favorite to compete for a national championship. You're watching greatness. You're watching history unfold, and it's happening in Bloomington, Indiana. It's happening on the football field, and the entire country gets to see it. And there's no denying it. People hate it. People can't stand it. The Big Ten and college football are so furious at you and me and the entire Indiana fan base and the entire Indiana football program because we're good, and there's nothing they can do about it. And tonight showed and capped all that off with a 56-3 performance and a dominating win over your biggest rival in Purdue. And Indiana just completed its greatest regular season of all time, but there's definitely a lot more to play for. We'll talk about likes and dislikes coming up right after this. Plus, we'll talk about that Big Ten championship game and how that scenario could play out come tomorrow because Indiana's in. But you still have 3 possible opponents that you could play in Indianapolis coming up next week. We'll talk about that right after this on this live edition of Locked On Hoosiers. This live edition of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. The holidays always feel a little easier when you already know what the perfect gift is. And Omaha Steaks makes it almost too simple. Whether you're treating yourself this season or sending something memorable to family and friends, Omaha Steaks delivers handcrafted perfection right to their door. And this week is the best time to jump in because the cyber sale is here and the deals are huge. So if you're looking for another gift, if you're looking for something else, right, to get a family member or a loved one or, a friend if you want to, Omaha Steaks is the way to go. Save big on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. And for an additional $35 off, use the promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com. Promo code college. Terms apply. See the site for full details. This live show of Locked On Hoosiers also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game or you want to ride the hot hand like pretty much anybody on Indiana's team right now, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push or you're just dominating like Indiana did tonight, who covered a 28.5-point spread, by the way, and covered it pretty easily. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back into this live edition of Locked On Hoosiers. I'm your man, Jacob Goins, late on a Friday night, so thank you so much for staying up to watch Indiana complete the victory over Purdue, complete the greatest regular season of all time, and then, of course, staying up with us here on Locked On Hoosiers. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, right? We post daily episodes for you talking Indiana football, Indiana basketball, and beyond. So I want you to make sure that you get all your information, all your entertainment with us here at Locked On Hoosiers on the YouTube channel, or if you're more of an audio person, that's cool too. We post everything we do on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, you name it, we are there. So check us out, subscribe, follow, make sure those notifications are turned on so you never miss a new episode Monday through Friday of Locked On Hoosiers. All right, so Indiana takes down Purdue 56-3, 12-0 in the regular season, and we're heading to the Big Ten championship game. Let's go ahead and do likes and dislikes. All right, so if you are new here, we've gone live after every football game this season. We go live after every basketball game as well, including tomorrow afternoon when Indiana takes on Bethune-Cookman. More on that at the end of the show. But we do likes and dislikes every single time, and it's really quick. It's simple. It's just kind of a rapid fire. Things you liked, things you didn't like, things you want to see more, things you want to see less of in terms of this Indiana football team. I'll try to read through some of these comments as well. Got to start with this. Absolutely. A like is the defense because they played their tails off again. And I know that Purdue team, they're simply just not good. I mean, I don't know another way to say it. They're simply just not good. And offensively, they just have nothing. Man, they have nothing on that side of the football. Now, I will say, Purdue had several drops tonight, had a lot of miscommunication tonight. They didn't help themselves at all, but Indiana's defense was pretty legit, and it has been all season long. Man, look at the point totals that this Indiana team has given up this season. Working backwards, 3, 7, 24, 10, 6, 13, 20, 15, 10, 0, 9, and 14. The most points this Indiana defense has given up all season long is 24, and that was to Penn State. That's it. That's incredible, folks. Over a 12-game span, only giving up 24 points and nothing more than that all season? That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Now, will that streak continue into the conference championship game and the college football playoff? I don't know. Probably not. But we know that the offense is good enough to get you there when you need it. But my goodness, the defense showed up and played extremely well tonight and took care of business against a mediocre Purdue team. Another like for me, talked about it a lot, the running game, right? The commitment to the running game after Fernando Mendoza had a shaky start. That's a dislike for me. The idea that he put 3 balls in harm's way, did Fernando Mendoza. And I saw somebody say it earlier, I think before we went live, and said, you can't throw those types of balls against Ohio State because they'll pick them off. And that's exactly right. It's exactly right. You cannot put those types of passes in the air if you're Fernando Mendoza against All-American corners and safeties that Ohio State has. They will take advantage, and then their offense comes on the field, and they're going to score a touchdown because of it. You cannot do that. We've seen this before. Fernando Mendoza has to be cleaner. But the like that comes off of that is the running game. Because, again, you run for 355 yards. Folks, I don't know if there's a better 1-2 punch in the Big Ten than Roman Hemby and Kaelon Black. And if I remember correctly, I believe I talked about that at the beginning of the season before this year started and said that they could be the best 1-2 punch in the Big Ten at running back. And people made fun of me. People laughed. They said, nah, they're not that good. There's a lot better in the Big Ten. I don't know, man. I think those two guys are incredible. They run hard. They're hard to bring down. They find the hole. They're fast in the open space, and they just flat out get downhill. That's what Roman Hemby and Kaelon Black do. And give credit to the offensive line as well, who deserves a big like and shout out tonight. They protected Fernando Mendoza the 12, 15 times that he dropped back to pass. But they make it easy, man. They make it easy running the football with Roman Hemby and Kaelon Black. So a big like there for me. I liked the preparation. I liked the focus. I liked the attention. Curt Cignetti was talking before the game and at halftime how they were going to come out and basically put it on Purdue and basically not leave any doubts. And I love that. I love that from this Indiana team. We know that's their identity, but that's just how this team rolls, man. And they don't care if it's Ohio State. They don't care if it's Purdue. They don't care who it is. They're going to go in and give it everything they got. And they did that tonight, coming off the bye. Little rusty there at the start, but for the most part, I liked the performance that I saw by this Indiana team on all sides of it. Special teams was fine. You didn't have to do a whole lot in terms of that. I'll say a dislike is the cheap shot that Purdue took there at the end of the game. And then with the backups on the field, you take a cheap shot, then you stand over the guy when all your fans are already in the car heading home. Like, come on now. Let's not do that if we can. So lots to be happy about. Hey, how about Alberto Mendoza? Kid's got wheels, huh? Kid can absolutely move. We've seen him throw a couple of dimes when he's come in this year, but man, he got in and absolutely took off and had a couple of nice plays in there. And so future is bright with him if he's in that quarterback competition. Love seeing that. Love seeing Kobe Martin. That's another like for me. See a guy get in as a freshman who, again, just always looking downhill, never bounces and tries to run left and right. He's running north and south, buddy. I love to see that from Kobe Martin. You saw a couple of nice plays from Omar Cooper. You saw it from Elijah Surratt. Love seeing the blocking downfield from Riley Nowakowski. Continue to give love to that dude as well. And I want to see him get the football more. But, I mean, what else can you say? Indiana put on another show on the national stage, 56-3 against the Purdue Boilermakers. Looking through some of your comments again, in likes and dislikes. We're going to talk about the Big Ten championship game in just a moment. Going to talk about the college football playoff as well. Just saw somebody say, so it did go final that Texas beat Texas A&M. That's interesting. I don't think Texas will get in. I don't think they should get in, but I am curious on what the committee will do. More on that in just a moment. Let's see. Indiana is the deepest team. People sleeping on that. Cheers to 12-0. Cheers to that indeed. In terms of depth for Indiana, you see it in these blowout games that Indiana's got dudes that they can put in, and I think the future is bright, right, with a lot of those guys that Indiana puts in. And thankfully, I feel like you're getting healthy here down the stretch. I don't think you have the depth of an Ohio State, but I think we've got enough dudes to keep us competitive throughout a college football playoff run. So, Omar Cooper, this was Omar Cooper staying on his feet for that touchdown was awesome. I mean, they had him dead to rights at the 15-yard line. There were 3 black jerseys just standing there in the middle of him. He was in the Bermuda Triangle and just spun out of all of them. I don't really know how you let that happen, but I think that just goes to show how talented Omar Cooper is. And oh my gosh, how about that? Was it the first or I think it was the second Kaelon Black touchdown where he hits the gap at like the 10. The freshman safety came up and just hit him with a spin move and jogged into the end zone. Can't remember if that was the first or second one, but my goodness, that was such a pretty play from Kaelon Black. And so that's another like for me and a lot of them here tonight. And everybody just seems to be fired up, man. And you got to love it. You got to absolutely love what Indiana is doing right now. And you feel good about it offensively. You feel good about it defensively heading into the Big Ten championship game. So keep dropping your likes and dislikes. We'll talk about those some more again as we go. But let's talk Big Ten championship for a moment. Let's talk about the Big Ten championship game that Indiana has officially punched its ticket to. You will represent one of the sides of the Big Ten in the championship game for the first time in program history. Now, this is a game that's only been played since 2011, but it's still a really cool moment for Indiana to go and represent. You feel like you should have a great crowd there in Indianapolis. There's a ton going on that day. Reminder, that is also when Indiana basketball, let me confirm just to make sure, but I've looked at this before. I'm pretty confident, okay, that Indiana basketball plays Louisville that same day in Indianapolis. I think it's early afternoon, and then the Big Ten championship game is that night. Let me go double check. Saturday, December 6th. It is. That is the exact same day. So Louisville and Indiana basketball will play on Saturday, December 6th inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And then Indiana football will be at Lucas Oil for the Big Ten championship game that night. So if you're going to make a trip to Indianapolis that day, that's the trip of a lifetime, man. That is the weekend to be there in Indianapolis. If you can find a way to go to both games, my goodness, what an awesome moment that could be for you to watch Indiana basketball against a top 10 Louisville team and then catch the Big Ten championship game. So the Hoosiers are in it, okay? And some people say, all right, well, who do they play? Well, it's a good question because it's actually not set just yet. You still have a possibility of playing all three of the remaining teams in the Big Ten. It could be Ohio State, which is the most likely option. It could be Oregon, which is probably the second most likely option. Or it could be Michigan. Believe it or not, that is still a possibility, okay? It's still a possibility for all of those things to happen. And the easiest way for me to do this is just to read it to you and let you know what's going on. So Indiana clinches a spot in the Big Ten title game because they won, obviously. Ohio State beats Michigan tomorrow. They're in. And it's the Hoosiers and the Buckeyes like everybody has basically predicted it to be for quite some time. Oregon could get into the Big Ten championship game if the Ducks beat Washington and Ohio State loses to Michigan. Now, I don't know how many Hoosier fans want to have a rematch with the Oregon Ducks in the Big Ten title game. I think we're still the better team. Hard to beat a team twice. I don't think I want to mess with the Oregon Ducks again. That's just one man's opinion. So Ohio State gets in if they win. Oregon gets in if the Ducks win and Ohio State loses. Then there's the third option. There's like the ugly stepchild off to the side, just waiting to pounce and attack when needed. There's the Michigan Wolverines. The Michigan Wolverines can clinch the second spot in the Big Ten championship game if they win and Oregon loses. Now, they were banking on Indiana to lose because that could also have put them in, but since that didn't happen, Michigan has to beat Ohio State and Oregon has to lose to the Washington Huskies. So Indiana could play all three. If you're looking to win a Big Ten title, I think you want to play Michigan. I think that's the easiest opponent on that slate of three, right? You already beat Oregon. Michigan's probably the easiest, but I think a lot of people want a shot at Ohio State. I think a lot of Hoosier fans, myself included, want to see where we are. Let's go play Ohio State. You didn't beat them a year ago. You got a chance to do it this year. So that's what you're looking at. You can cheer for whatever you want to tomorrow, but you need to watch Ohio State, Michigan, which the entire country will. And then you need to watch Oregon and Washington, and that's kind of how the scenario plays out. But regardless, Indiana's there, man. Indiana's there, and this is so cool. I'm just so excited and so eager to get there next weekend and just enjoy the moment that we're in. And the good news is, in terms of the college football playoff, Indiana's in that too. I still don't know what the committee is going to do with an Indiana team if they lose the Big Ten title game. What happens if Ohio State loses the Big Ten title game? We're looking at that same thing in the SEC as well. I don't know. I have my thoughts on that, and we will talk about it coming up this week here on Locked On Hoosiers on what the best course of action is for Indiana, whether it be give it your all in the Big Ten title game, not give it your all, not play at all, opt out, tell them to kick rocks. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Because right now, as it stands, you're undefeated in the regular season. You're going to Indy for a title game for the Big Ten, but you're also the second-ranked team in the country, and you're guaranteed right now to get a first-round bye in the college football playoff. That's a big deal. That's a really, really big deal that Indiana would love to have. And you earned that. You earned that with a 12-0 record in the Big Ten with some seriously good wins on that resume. Better than you had a year ago. So there's no arguing this year. Indiana's resume is legit, and you capped it off tonight with a 56-3 victory. So looking through here one more time just to see if anybody else has anything to say. How are we feeling about the Ohio State-Michigan game tomorrow? Just quick thoughts there. That's a big one. But I'm with you. I'm with you, Brent. Let's end the debate and beat Ohio State. I don't think you meant for that to rhyme, but I like it. I think that's what we should do. I think that's what we should do, man. Give us Ohio State. Give us Ohio State and see what happens. If you win, awesome. If you lose, so what? You're still in the playoff and you still have a chance to win the national championship. So, gonna be a lot of fun, man. This was a fun night. It's been an awesome regular season, but the Hoosiers have so much more to play for. 56-3. Final score. Indiana takes down Purdue on Black Friday. Best regular season in the history of Indiana football. And now you get ready for the Big Ten championship game. You're prepared next week. There's a lot going on. We're going to talk about it all here on Locked On Hoosiers. We're going to talk about the other coaching searches going on around the Big Ten, around SEC, in college football in general, because it's insane. We're going to talk more college basketball as Indiana plays tomorrow. Okay, we'll have a live show for you on that here on the YouTube channel. Brian Smith is going to have you for that. And then we're back on Monday for a regular episode for Locked On Hoosiers. Again, if you're new here, if you're just now discovering us, we post episodes Monday through Friday, 25 to 30 minutes every single day, every single week, every single month, man. And we continue to grow. We're pumping out the content for you, and we're having an absolute blast. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like all of our videos, comment down below, and make sure you follow us on your audio platforms if you want to listen that way as well. Enjoy the ride, Hoosier fans. You're undefeated in the regular season, and now we're heading to the Big Ten championship game. We'll talk more about it on Monday and a live show coming up tomorrow for basketball here on the Locked On Hoosiers YouTube channel. Until next time, Hoosier fans, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.